How's it going, everybody? I am Kris Keefer with KeeferIncTesting.com, and this is the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com YouTube channel. And I'm here to give you 5 common setup mistakes when you're getting ready to go to the track or even the trail. So first things first, what I talk about and I preach on my show is make sure when you have a bike, you buy a bike, or you've had a bike for 2 years, maybe you haven't checked the sag. So the rider sag on the shock is very important for the balance of the motorcycle when you ride. And it doesn't matter if you're riding down the trail, even if you're a dual sport rider or if you're going to the motocross track here at Glen Helen. Your owner's manual is your friend, and the sag is set for you guys to keep the right balance on your motorcycle. So when you're giving full throttle, you're backing off the throttle, your bike is constantly moving and pitching, and the rider sag helps you get the right ride attitude of the bike when you ride. So there is a recommended sag setting in the owner's manual. Hopefully you guys have one of those. Make sure you have one of those. So simply, you can go out in the garage, you can get a measuring tape, there's sag tools, there is even a electronic sag meter that you can do it yourself, because God knows having your wife out in the garage setting your sag could be a nightmare. You get 3 different readings at 3 different times. So there is a slacker moto tool that you simply put it on your swing arm, and you have a little string, and it tells you right on your handlebar what your sag is. This Yamaha is set for 104 to 105 millimeters, and that is where I run it, and that gives the happy place for this bike when I'm on and off throttle. All right, another common mistake that I see a lot of guys out here, and it's funny because some guy just came up to me today and he was talking about front end cornering on his bike. Another mistake is not checking your air pressure every time you ride. Air pressure moves around when you drive home, elevation changes, temperature changes, it constantly moves around. So I actually rode yesterday night. I got home at 10 p.m., rode today at 8 a.m., and my tire pressure was off. So setting your tire pressure will ensure you the proper amount of traction, give you the right amount of lean angle traction, and you'd be surprised how many guys have low air pressure in their front tire, and that causes that front end to wash, and they complain about having a vague front end feel. So depending on the tire manufacturer, they have a recommended setting. Look that up. And if you guys do not know, you can always email me, Kris@KeeferIncTesting.com. I have a full chart for each tire manufacturer and where the recommended tire pressure is. Very important. All right, number 3 common mistake is not adjusting your suspension. Some of you guys are scared out there to even mess with your suspension. There is more detailed suspension out there that comes in the production format. Obviously air forks. Some of you guys aren't even checking your air pressure. So it's not as crucial with air forks to check air pressure as much as tires. So if you ride 2 to 3 times a week, or maybe once a week, you need to check that at least 1 time a week before you get on your motorcycle, because that air pressure setting will fluctuate from week to week. Like I said, air temp, elevation change, all of that changes the air pressure inside your fork. So if you guys are out on the track and you feel like, man, Keefer, my fork is a little harsh, I feel like it's soft, you really got to pay attention to see where your fork is at in the stroke. So if you guys do not have an O-ring around your fork leg, let's do it the poor man's way. I do it this way. I get a zip tie, I zip tie it around the fork leg, cut that extra piece off, and that'll tell me how much fork travel you are using. And then in conjunction with that way you know which way to go with your clickers. If you need to go stiffer on your compression or you need to go softer, it's very important. So make sure you guys have that. It's an easy way to do it, and it's cheap. If you guys send your suspension setting out to get revalved, your local suspension guy should put an O-ring on there for you. If he doesn't ask for that, that'll help you set up your fork setting. Again, setting your shock sag, as well your high-speed compression and your low-speed compression and your rebound. So here at Glen Helen, it's fast and choppy. So what I usually do when you have fast and choppy conditions, I go faster on rebound setting, because that'll help that wheel follow the ground more. There's an old saying called 2 for 1. Every 2 clicks that you make, you need to make 1 click adjustment on the rebound. So if I go 2 stiffer on my fork compression, I need to go 1 out on my rebound. It's called the 2 for 1. It's been around for years in the testing process, and that's basically what we do when we go out and we do production testing out here at Glen Helen. So most of the time here at Glen Helen, there's a lot of hills, a lot of loading the front end. So I'll usually go from stock settings to in on compression and then back out that rebound 1, because when you add compression, you're slowing down the fork's movement. So you need to kind of open that up to make that tire follow the ground more. So that is an easy way for you guys to remember when you get to the track. If you need to stiffen your compression up, try 2 clicks and then open that rebound 1. So the common mistake I get a lot is I don't really screw with my suspension, Kris. Well, it's okay, it's here. That's what it's there for. You need to play with it, feel what you guys like out there. Some of you guys like a stiffer setting or a softer setting. Don't be scared to mess with the clickers. The manufacturers don't give you more than you can play with. They don't want anything bad happen to you because liability reasons. So go ahead, do some adjustments, play with it, and then obviously write those adjustments down. Because if you do not know where you're at, you'll get lost. So I keep a notepad, a notebook, and every time I go to a track, I have a little Bible of where I'm at setting-wise. So if you haven't been to a track in 3 to 4 weeks, you've been riding other areas, you have that written down, and then you guys can go right back to that setting and have a good time. Another common mistake I see a lot is handlebar adjustments, lever adjustments, shifter, and brake pedal not being in the right area. I'm 6 foot. There's a lot of guys out here that I talked to last week that are about 5'8", and they think they need to go to a bar that is rolled forward to get some more room in their cockpit on the Yamaha, because the Yamaha, let's face it, the 22 edition doesn't have the most friendly cockpit rider triangle area. So what you guys need to do is look at your handlebar first, and there is markings, usually 0, -1, -2, or +1, +2. So rolling it back is usually a negative reading, and then when you roll them forward, usually a plus reading. So for me, I usually start in the 0 position. That gives the bar a neutral feel, and this is no matter if you're 6'2", 5'6". Try always to have a neutral position on the bike. So the bar is pretty straight along with the forks. You have clutch lever and brake lever. I try to keep mine even, maybe a little bit down from the grips, and that'll keep my elbows bent. And then also, if you have a shifter that's too high up, you really got to lift up. So I try to keep that shifter flat with my boot, so I don't have to really dig in to go underneath my shifter, and that it's not so far up where I have to really lift up high. So everything has to be neutral. Now, preference for you guys out there that are shorter, if you guys want to get a lower bar, try to go to a height anywhere between 82 to 88, which is a nice height for a smaller kind of guy, 5'6" to 5'8", and that usually will get you in the neutral position when you have it on 0, and that will get you like in the proper area when you're riding your bike. You want to be in the tack position, you want to have the right body position. If you're a taller guy, you don't want to get the height from the height of the bar. You want to get the height from the mount. So actually going +5 to +10 through the mount is where you get the height, and that way you can run a flatter bar, and that'll help you in corners. You know how many times I've seen a guy use a Honda CR high bend and you're at a 99 height, and then you have a lot of sweep, and it just puts you in the wrong position on the bike, especially through corners. So tall guys, get the height through the bar mount. Buy taller mounts, you can get spacers, and then try to find a neutral height bar band, which is about 89 to 92 millimeters, and that'll get you in the right position. Also, another note too, another crucial part of this whole handlebar setup is throttle play. That's usually a preference with riders. Some guys like no play, so they have that throttle immediately hit. I like a little play because eventually I'm gonna get tired. I think everyone does, obviously. So I like to have a little play in there so I don't get whiskey throttle. So if I get arm pump and my arm seems to rest and your elbow goes down, which happens a lot, you're not giving the throttle on, you're like, woo, woo, and get whiskey throttle. So a little play is usually the best thing to do when you're not in shape. And I'm not in shape right now. I can't go 25 minutes. So a little play will help me. When I do get in shape, I will lessen this play up a little bit just to get more feel through corners. But throttle play is crucial, and that should be adjusted as well. All right, the last tip, it's pretty basic. You guys know, maintenance is key. It's a muddy bike right now. I'm gonna go home and wash it. Or actually, I'm gonna have my kid wash it. That's the benefit of having a child now. They can do all that work, right? So he's at the age, he's gonna wash my bike. But he has learned the hard way of what not to spray and what to spray. So obviously, I take my seat off when I wash my bike because washing the bike over and over again, the water will get through the seat cover and break down the foam. Now, when you take your seat off, there is electrical items under there. So there's some choices you have. I use duct tape, lay that over the electrical system, or if you're really good, just simply don't just stick that gun, that washer right in there. Obviously, electrical items do not like water, we know this, so just be careful when you're around electrical items. Also, kill switches, very important. There's reasons why some professional teams do not wash their bike that well between motos because electrical items do not like water, and then when you're spraying the bike down, the kill switch can actually get some condensation within this wire, and then you'll have intermittent cutting out. A lot of Hondas have done this in the past couple years, and people are saying, hey, Keefer, my bike doesn't start or it's cutting out. That's because this lovely kill switch right here has some condensation over time from power washing the bike. Now, past washing the bike, change your motor oil every 2 to 3 engine hours. Even if you're a novice rider, a professional, if you're riding deep sand, sometimes even more, every hour and a half. And having an engine hour meter is important. If your guys are lucky enough to have one built in, KTM Husqvarna, that is great. But there's a lot of companies out there that sell wireless meters, good to have. And keep up on your engine oil. These bikes are built to go fast, but they build a lot of heat. So having some good oil and changing that thoroughly a lot is really beneficial for the life of your engine. I'm usually every other type of oil filter kind of guy. So every other oil change, I'll change a filter out as well. And then last but not least is your air filter. The Yamaha filter gets dirty really quick. I'll have a brand new filter here today, and then I'll go home and it's pretty dirty because it sucks air through and sucks dust right through the air duct right here. So constant maintenance, just like anything else. It's like a relationship, guys. You got to take care of it if you want it to make it last. Same thing goes with your bike. Change your oil, change your filters, wash your bike properly, and then as well, Chase pointed this out earlier, is suspension fluids. Every 20 to 25 hours, get your service done on your fork and your shock. You can do it yourself. There's classes that Race Tech has that you learn how to do that all yourself. I have done it myself, and I am not a very good mechanic. So bushings, seals, and oil, very important for your motorcycle to make it feel good when you go the track or trail. It's amazing how much oil matters in the world of suspension. When your oil breaks down and gets hot, your suspension gets soft, your chassis feels wallowy, and you think, hey, I'm no good on bikes anymore. Well, maybe it's because your oil has been broken down in your suspension and it's time to give it some love. So give your bike some love, pay attention to it, sit out in the garage, listen to some old school rock. That's what I do. Just kind of chill out, kick my kid out, just give me 2 hours. I need some alone time with my motorcycle and enjoy yourself. Have a beer or two, whatever it is that you like to do, and then pay attention to your motorcycle. It'll pay attention to you on the track. And those are my 5 tips. So easy peasy. Some of you guys are saying, hey man, I knew all this already, but some beginners out there do not know this kind of thing, and all of these tips will help you enjoy your motorcycle more.